against bigotry in the Democratic Party. We are for equality before the law of all men, regardless of race, religion, or the region in which they live. And so are you. Fine. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, any institution would be proud of such a graduate and such a tribute as this. In 1951, the Institute and the Commonwealth of Virginia showed their high regard for this adopted son by proclaiming a Marshall Day. As a member of the directors of the George C. Marshall Research Foundation and as its representative, I welcome you to this Marshall Research Library. Not a part of VMI, not the property of the Commonwealth of Virginia, but a project which is very close to the heart of everyone here. It's built on land once the Institute, but deeded to the George C. Marshall Memorial Foundation, and the library is closely linked with the other hopes and dreams of this community. We hope the lessons learned from the past may throw lights on the problems of our generation and show the way to the future.
Then, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Marshall, General Eisenhower, General Bradley, General Shell, our distinguished guests, my fellow Virginians, and ladies and gentlemen. Virginia, the mother state, the cradle of 8 of our earlier presidents, is honored to welcome here today, in company of this great assemblage, Mrs. Marshall, President Johnson, and General Eisenhower. Here at Lexington, so closely associated with salient events in the lives of many great Americans, stand side by side historic Virginia Military Institute and Washington and Lee University. Here in the Valley of Virginia are innumerable reminders of military geniuses of 100 years ago who were leading participants in the ebb and flow of war. Here the foothills and beautiful ranges of the Blue Ridge and the Alleghenies are dramatic evidence of the grandeur that is America. Here we have come to pay tribute to the memory of a man of unsurpassed devotion to his country, and thereby to perpetuate for every succeeding generation ideals that not only are imperishable, but ideals which have always constituted and which must continue to be the very foundation of our freedoms and our republican form of government. It is especially fitting that the national leaders, civil and military, whose responsibilities encompassed important segments of General Marshall's career, are participants in these ceremonies, and that by their presence and their words they may lead the nation in a rededication to the lofty concept of unselfish service to country whenever and to whatever extent circumstances may require.
Governor Harrison has given able assistance in the achievement of our goals here in the state. He and various other Virginia leaders have worked very hard to make this building a reality. I also wish to express my special appreciation to General Shell, who, as the local representative of the Marshall Foundation, has watched over every phase of the building of the library and has devoted many hours of dedicated effort to its development. Heading a special committee whose other members were Dr. Fred Cole and Dr. Forrest Pogue, he has kept the building on schedule and has helped make certain that the work measured up to the man it was intended to memorialize.
From World War I onward, I had often heard of George Marshall. By older officers, he was always described as a brilliant soldier, by many as a genius. But until World War II was a week old, I had met him only twice, and then but momentarily. My direct association with him began on December 14, 1941, on a Sunday morning in the old munitions building in Washington, D.C. He placed me in charge of military planning, later adding operations. On that Sunday morning, a great deal of our conversation dealt with the situation in the Pacific. General Marshall brought me up to date with events and then said that he would look to me for assistance in planning help for that beleaguered area.
The dedication of the library in General Marshall's memory is an event of sufficient importance to require our full attention today. But just for a moment, I would like to turn to consideration of a pressing, immediate local problem. I understand that a number of young men at VMI are, as the rule book says, undergoing punishments for transgressions against VMI rules and regulations. Although my position in the VMI chain of command may not be too clearly defined, I am asking Governor Harrison of Virginia to direct the Superintendent, General Shell, to grant them a general amnesty, to include penalty tours confinement, and as an additional present, forgive them their demerits for the past couple of months. But I remember that it was once reported of the General Marshal, when he first entered VMI, that he landed in the awkward squad. And he stayed there, on and on. He could not drill. He could not march. All he could do was swear, look uncomfortable, and be embarrassed whenever he was spoken to. So cheer up, gentlemen, and be courteous to each of your classmates, no matter how unpromising he might look today. Remember, he may be your chief of staff one day.